models in terms of working with urban communities, and we're pleased to be a part of it.
Long term.
Long term, and intend to continue that in the future.
Great.
Both for water, recreation, just solitude.
My name is Mike Dombeck. I'm Chief of the U.S. Forest Service.
Mike, spell your last name.
D like in David. Here for a fantastic celebration we're here for a fantastic celebration with the tree people. I'm here to present a grant of $50,000 to further this tremendous effort here at the school. And we're really talking about watersheds and the ability of our ecosystems to deliver water for use of people and other uses like that. And if you take a look at the blacktop here versus what we have here with the grass and the ability of this soil and so on to filter the water, that's really what it's all about. And the role of the Forest Service in this is really key, because we have in the Angeles National Forest, we have 72% of the open space in LA County. And what we have is that watershed and the Angeles National Forest providing about 35% of the runoff and the water that's used here in the LA basin. So what we're doing here is critically important, because the long-term goal is to make LA drought proof, and rather than just rushing the floodwaters off to the ocean, to be able to slow the water down to keep it here for the human consumption. And the economics of this is really key, because we've got the water coming off of, for example, the Angeles National Forest in excess of $50 million a year in value. And what we have is we have also the cleanest water coming off of our forested landscapes.
That's great. So you're suggesting that we get rid of all the blacktops at schools and put all this reclamation progress?
The more we can reclaim, the more we can have the watersheds functioning the way they were originally designed by Mother Nature to work, the better off we'll all be.
That's great. Can I have your name and title once again?
Mike Dombeck, D-O-M-B-E-C-K, Chief of the Forest Service.
And is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I'd say it's just great to be here in California, and we've got 20 million acres of national forests in California, delivering about 50% of the water to the cities, towns, and local communities in the state of California. And the LA Basin is certainly one of the most important places in the state. We've got 11 million people within an hour's drive of the national forest, and I just invite people out to enjoy the open space, enjoy the national forests that belong to you, but also take care of them. Be gentle, treat the land with tender, loving care, and if we take good care of the land, it'll take care of us.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Grace. I want to personally acknowledge Grace Arnold, who lives her name. She has been unbelievably graceful and gracious, and an example of grace. If you can imagine taking a school and ripping it apart with whole new technologies and turning it upside down, she's allowed that to happen and become a partner to help make it happen here. And it's just been taking you through how Watershed works, how we're fixing this campus and other campuses around town, and suggest what could happen all over Los Angeles. But before we get into that, I want to introduce a number of people who are here. We're really pleased to have been joined by a bunch of very important people from throughout Los Angeles County, and I don't have the update list of who all signed in, so I'm going to wing it. But first, I want to welcome from Washington one of the people who's enabled us to do this very cutting-edge work, was the first agency to sign on and support us, the Chief of the United States Forest Service, Michael Dombeck. And you'll be hearing from Mike in a few minutes. Representing this was paid for by the Department of Water and Power through that Cool Schools project, and representing the general manager and all the staff of the Department of Water and Power is our partner, Leilani Johnson, and from the Brad Powell from the U.S. Forest Service. He takes care of not just California, but the West and the Pacific, and a great partner. Locally on the forest, bridging the forest to the city, is Rudy Retamosa from GreenLink, who works with the Forest Service. Raise your hand, Rudy. Really an honor to have their power behind us. Representing Montgomery Watson with us, the family, if you will. a big piece of challenges of infrastructure that was broken. Infrastructure, it wasn't broken, it was working perfectly for infrastructure. And we're going to show you how perfectly it works in a minute. But Los Angeles, this place that so badly needs water, and as we just learned from NASA last week, we may be in for another 20 years of very dry years. Los Angeles can't afford to throw away its water. And even in a moderate rainfall year of 10 inches of rainfall, Los Angeles receives enough rain to meet all of its water needs for gardening, which is about half the needs that the city has. The city spends sometimes $1 billion a year to bring water here. So when we throw away all that rainfall, we can be throwing away the equivalent of $500 million worth of water. In a moment, we're going to demonstrate how we throw that water away and what we're going to do to fix it. But I'll pause. We learned that the City of Los Angeles, the county, the State Water Resources Board, the Metropolitan Water District, and others were planning on spending a lot more money to bring more water to Los Angeles, to make sure we always had water during droughts. The plan was for billions of dollars. At the same time, some of the same agencies were spending close to $1 billion more to get rid of the water, because all that rainfall creates floods. It's a strange thing that we have floods and droughts at the same time, but Los Angeles does. Well, there's an answer to this that integrates these so we have one system, and it's called forestry, watershed management, and if we do it in the city, it's urban forestry. Well, no one was looking at that, and we saw the opportunity to capture that water and do what Los Angeles needs most, is create jobs. Meaningful jobs that can help employ people, people who can improve the environment here. It's goals that we all share. So we talked to the Forest Service and said, will you give us a chance to demonstrate what might be possible? We talked to lots of city officials, and they looked at it and they said, yeah, it's nice, but these agencies don't work together. The way we've structured government is that really we work in our own camps. We call it, we call it bureaucracy. Not in the negative sense, but that's the best way to manage all these different things. But we said there's got to be a better way, and people were a bit skeptical, saying, well, maybe agencies won't work together because they haven't. So we went to the Forest Service, showed them our theory that we could actually capture the money and change LA for the better, and said, will you give us a grant to get us started on this? And they did. Took a couple of years to describe this that is very hard to put into a soundbite. But finally, when we understood how to explain it to them, they said absolutely, and they issued us a challenge grant of $150,000. The agencies that you see represented today and others joined that challenge. And between the agencies and our private donors and foundations raised nearly $1 million that was spent over the last 5 years on research. And today, we're here to announce that the research was concluded and succeeded. Our job was to show that it was actually possible to capture the $20 billion worth of planned expenses in disintegrated infrastructure and put it into an integrated program. What we did was bring some of the best designers in sustainable engineering, architecture, landscapes from around the country to design how LA and LA's properties could function differently. We redesigned a home, schools, commercial and industrial lands. And then we took those designs and we began to build them. The first thing we did was a house in South Central Los Angeles. We changed it so it could capture 100-year rainfall and recycle that rainfall right on site. It worked. And now we're building campuses, school campuses, to do the same thing. So what I want to do right now, and unfortunately you guys are going to have to move around a little bit, we're going to show you how the city sheds water and then how we've changed the campuses so we can capture water and recycle it. And I want to invite some of the students to stand behind here and invite the chief to come over. I'd like some students to hold this and hold it over so this drain is here. This represents a schoolyard and a parking lot. Do you want to come over here? Oh, actually, why don't you duck down below it? And the chief is going to make it rain, make sure the water winds up in the drain. And as he's making it rain, trash from the schoolyard or the parking lot or our sidewalks is flowing off into the rain gutter. And even with great kids, occasionally trash gets away from you. And what happens is rain goes from the parking lot into the rain gutter. So you can lift it up above it. Yeah, pour it on in. Trash and everything. Just go ahead and spill them as best you can. So it goes from the gutter, travels down the gutter into the catch basin, which is that hole in the curb. And then it flows into what used to be called creeks. And it's now flood storm drains. There you go. And the storm drain flows into what used to be called rivers, the Los Angeles River in Los Angeles, which we now call flood control channels. And it flows with the trash and all from the flood control channel to the beach, the ocean, and our Santa Monica Bay. Now what we are about to do, I'll invite the chief to come back over here, is install a watershed, a forest watershed instead, and it's pretty simple.
Leave it right there.
What was a parking lot of blacktop is now got trees and mulch. As it rains, the grass, the mulch, the trees soak it up, system, or off the asphalt into our simulated tank. And where's the sprayer?
Back behind the chief.
Get that. And let's assume you've caught enough for the moment. We'll spill off some that's going to go here. And if you want to just spray.
Spray it like this.
Yeah. And so what we're going to be doing is filtering the water, and there's not a good filter on this simulation, and then using the water to water the landscape. Right, it's raining just about like it did yesterday. So now let me show you the high-tech version. And the school wasn't open, and we got a chance before the school reopened to change things around. The school district needed to put a parking lot. The drain is in the same place because all the water flows there, but instead of the water going to the street and then off to the storm drains and to the ocean, it now will come over to this area here. We're putting in a brand new technology called invisible structures, and here's some of the stacks. I don't know how deep it's going to go when we're, yeah. It's going to be a very deep structure over here. These stack up. You can drive a car or a truck on top of it. It'll all be assembled into a special, very strong fabric-coated system that makes it a tank. The tank itself will hold 800,000 gallons of water. We'll filter and treat the water before it goes in. We'll monitor the quality of the water. And then the water that's stored in the tank will be used in the stormwater program. Did anyone make it from there yet? Well, it's Todd's staff. Issued a grant to start designing the campus, and then together we asked the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Project and another part of the county, and they gave us a grant of $500,000 to consider the work, the support of the Cool Schools program. So literally, 6 months ago, this is what the campus looked like. The first half of the forest ecosystem has now been installed, by the way. Asphalt being like canyons in the San Bernardino or San Gabriel Mountains in all of these areas between the buildings. The students helped design it. They all helped plant it. a hunt problem on the campus. We're capturing the water, putting it back in the ground. These technologies are in place in other cities and they work. As agencies have worked with us and seen how easy it is at analysis with 200 scientists and economists from agencies all over Southern California and the United States, from the Street Tree Division to the U.S. Department of Energy, who basically looked at all the economics for the next side, is I want to bring up again the Chief of the United States Forest Service, Mike Dombeck.
Thanks a lot, Andy. It's wonderful to be here.
Cable problem between the computer and the monitor. We don't have one.
Right, so
Part of this, but I want to thank Grace and the school here. But mostly I want to talk to Will, who's the class president, and the 4th and 5th graders, and about why this is important. Do you know that of all the water in the world, most of it's out in the ocean? 97.5% of the water in this blue ball is salt water, and it's not usable for people. So even though 70% of the earth is water, and of the fresh water, about almost 2% is locked up in glaciers and ice in places like Greenland and Antarctica and places like that, so it's not available for us either. And what we have is available to the humans on Earth is 8/10,000ths of 1% of the water that's available for us to drink, to take showers, and to do all the things that are so important for us today. Now, I work for the Forest Service, and a lot of you probably wonder, well, what is somebody like the Forest Service doing here in the LA Basin? Well, the fact is we've got the Angeles National Forest and the San Gabriels up that way, and that's land that belongs to you. 660,000 acres, or about 1,000 square miles that belongs to you. And that land is important for a lot of reasons. It's important because that's where you can go hiking and biking and camping and watching birds and enjoying the outdoors with your family and just having a great time. But the other thing it does, it supplies 35% of the fresh water to the LA Basin. Some of the stuff that Andy's been talking about that's so important. And that's why it's important that you as owners of the national forests, you each own a couple of acres in the United States, of which the Angeles is part of, why it's important that you take care of it. You know, and if you see people throwing trash around, tell them. First of all, you can go pick it up, but also then tell them that they need to take care of the land, because if we take care of the land, it'll take care of us, and we need this open space. Because the other thing that's important about the Angeles is 72% of the open space in Los Angeles County is the Angeles National Forest. Tremendous asset that we have. And forests are really important, first of all, for trees, but they catch the water, they filter the water, and the cleanest water in the world is running off of our forests, all of our forests, and that's why it's so important to take care of them. Now, this project that I'm just so proud to be part of, to assist the partners and tree people with, is this 800,000 gallon cistern. If you saw me asking Joe some questions there and doing some math, that's 50,000 glasses of water that will hold. Now just think how long it would take you to drink 50,000 glasses of water, and that's 8-ounce glasses each day. That's why that's so important, and think of how many people that water will serve throughout the course of the year. That's so important. And with the objective to drought-proof Los Angeles, I couldn't be more proud than to be a partner and to help and do what I can as the Forest Service employees that are here. And I know many of you probably say, well, you know, what is the Forest Service doing down in LA? Why aren't we up there in the San Gabriels up on the forest? Well, the fact is that urban and community forestry is also very important, because 60 million acres of the forest in the United States are urban forests, and they're not in very good shape. In fact, the tree planting and what you've done here is just a step in the right direction, and it's really a model. So, you know, you, the 4th to 5th graders, all of the students here that are involved in this, are you're leading the way with the way the rest of Los Angeles and the other cities in the United States should be working. And we in the Forest Service have a significant urban forestry program, and we want to help more. And I want to ask Will to come up here first of all. The lesson that I tried to give you, all that information that I read off is in here. And I want you to share this with your classmates, and I just inscribe this to Will and all the students. Thank you for what you do for the land, for improving the health of the LA Basin, and for your work with the tree people and the partners. So thank you.
Thanks.
And I want you to memorize this, okay? Now, next time I come through town, I'm going to ask some more questions about water. And I want to know how many glasses are in that cistern. That's going to be right out here.
Okay.
Good. And as a symbol of the commitment of the Forest Service, I want to ask Andy to come up here. As we kick off stage 2 of this, it's my privilege to present Tree People with a $50,000 grant to move on to phase 2. And I challenge the partners that are here to do all that you can to move forward. Come on, Will. Right. There we go.
I'm told we can take this to the bank.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and my signature's on it, but I'm going to be in California for a week in case you need to track me down. Great.
Just take your driver's license and credit card.
And again, I want to thank all of you that are here because you're here because you care. And that's step 1, is you've got to care. And caring is, once you do that, you're halfway there. So thank you. And Will, thank you again.
Hey, thank you. It's great. Thank you. Now we'll set this down. I should have brought our Chief Financial Officer. Well, thank you, Mike. What we plan to do with this is exactly what we've been talking about. He's just challenged the agencies to come back to the table. We have designed what we call the implementation planning process. It's a year-long process where many of the agencies you see here today and others will come to the table and spend a year planning how they might merge their planned investments in new storm drains, flood control channels, water supply systems into one integrated project that can better serve all of Los Angeles, including the possibility of creating 50,000 new sustainable jobs here, reducing half the water we need to import to Los Angeles, cleaning up water pollution and preventing floods. Those are amongst the goals, but also helping reduce global warming. All this through the integrated magic of urban forestry. Representing the City of Los Angeles to help us accept this and accept the challenge, I want to introduce a really fun partner, Todd Burnett from the Board of Public Works. These different pieces, and they're a great model of how you manage as a whole. And what we've been doing is training students all over Los Angeles. And by the way, due to our partners, the city and the county, we've built the largest environmental education program in the country, reaching over 1 million kids a year, enabling them to be foresters, ecosystem managers, or urban foresters. In this case, they've helped analyze the problems on the campus and participated in the planning, and definitely they helped plant the trees and they're caring for them. And it's only when all of our people take responsibility like this that we're actually going to be able to solve our problems. So what we're going to do now is move as a group through a tour. Students will be pointing things out to you as we walk along. We want you to see the various little forest ecosystems that we've planted, and then we're going to wind up in the auditorium. I've just been told that our high-tech audiovisual link didn't work, but we have the computer there. You'll be able to actually intimately look at the screen and see some of the cost-benefit model if you're interested. And for those of you who want to see a videotape, a 3-minute videotape of where we created a flash flood and demonstrated this technology on a house in South Central, we'll have that available on a small screen. And I want to bring Mike back for a second.
I've got to talk to Will and the class again. You know, before the principal catches me, I've made a mistake. I had my numerator and my denominator mixed up. And it is not 50,000 glasses, it's 12.8 million.
So thank you for coming. Want to join the tour? There'll be coffee afterwards, and let's head on it. Well, actually, do we have time for the tour? Yes. And they watched the stuff come out, and the family.